going?
Yes, it's going.
Okay. Within music video, it's really it's not as simple as film because there's actually two genres represented. There's the contextual genre, which is the genre within the lyrics, and then there's the technical genre, which would be the typical rock, pop, etc. I chose this one because it's actually a good representation of both, because it clearly kind of shows the contextual genre as well as the technical, because it's about love and depression, and it shows that kind of ideology that love can conquer everything. And one of the good ways it shows this is as it comes in and as it leaves, there's a big establishing aerial shot of like a broken down city that's all built up, like it's all busy and it's really compact, and it's supposed to show this idea of like a mental state, and it's actually quite common throughout a lot of the rock and alternative genre to use establishing shots like that. I know Linkin Park uses it quite frequently to show a kind of an unsteady mind state, because it's supposed to show this mental claustrophobia where you've got so much going on and it's so dark and you just can't escape from it. And then that brings on to like the mise en scène, because in contrast to that, you've got the woman who is obviously the protagonist, and she's in white, a white silk nightie. And the idea of that is to show innocence, and it's supposed to show that, or it could be interpreted that it's supposed to show how anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, can be affected by this type of thought process and this type of like depression that she feels. And as it moves on, there's a lot of close-ups and long shots of her specifically, to not only follow the story, but so you understand how she's feeling. The setting of where the band is important as well, because in comparison to her room, which you can clearly see is like a typical bedroom, that room's actually padded, like it would be if you were in solitary confinement. And it's supposed to also show the idea that you know, the man who was in the band who comes out to try and save her fails. It's to show how he's actually caught in a trapped mind state as well, because as he says, all this time I couldn't believe I couldn't see. And it's supposed to show that they were both separated by their own mind states, and she is trying to get with him because he helps her, and he doesn't see that he's helping her, and he doesn't understand that she's actually helping him in the process. And that's kind of the dreaming state of how she falls to a death and it's actually his fault, is what she's actually afraid of. She's afraid of losing him, and then in that sense losing herself to the depression, because you never actually see her hit the ground, you only see her fall back into the city, into herself. And that ideology of the contextual genre of the loves and the depression coming together is also very popular amongst a lot of rock and alternative genre, and I know a lot of punk as well, as I'm sure Aidan would agree. I've only mostly focused on the mise en scène for now, because I haven't gone too much into like the whole area of things, of like all the audience and the narrative and stuff, but there is a wide range of close-ups and long shots that is used, and actually I think I've got pictures here, up there, when she's in the bed and you're looking in on her. It's actually supposed to be a type of voyeurism. Now, it's weird to explain voyeurism because in a sense it's supposed to be a sexual thing. It's where you're looking upon people in like a sexual stalkerish way, but in this it's not supposed to be. It's just supposed to be you looking over the situation, and that is very, very common in most genres, but specifically rock, because they want you to understand the protagonist and how they're feeling. And the mid shot of the band is just also to show how it's padded, like it's in an institution. It's even got the lights like shining down on you, and because of that, it's kind of to show like he might be trapped, but he's good for her because he's in a high key lighting. It shows that he's quite a good person, even though he doesn't think so. And I've just got these two long shots to show how she feels like she's falling, because as we see at the end, she's only dreaming, but even in her dream state, she feels like she's falling into this depression. She can't escape it, basically. And the high angle is to show how she feels like she's got control, but she hasn't. And there we go.
Excellent. Has anyone got any questions?
Go on, Aidan.
Looking at the band mid shot and all the other shots for that question, would you consider the fact that the framing is so tight is that they're trying to emote that idea of entrapment? Because you never see anything more than usually a mid shot if you look at any of those.
Oh yeah, that was what I was, sorry, you just reminded me as well. Yeah, there's a lot of isolation shown because as she was walking along the edge of the, I think it's like a set of flats, I'd call it flats, and how she's walking along the rim of it, whereas she's passing all this idea of normality, because she passes an old couple who are together watching like a TV as you would as a normal couple, or she passes a party, and even that shows an idea of entrapment or isolation, because there is one girl who takes off her mask and she actually sees the woman. And when she takes off the mask, you actually see that there's a connection between those two because they both feel it, which is why she notices, but no one else at the party does. And it shows this idea of people literally putting on a mask. So yeah, it does show entrapment a lot throughout the whole thing. Any more questions?
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things I want to unpick, and this is something that Sasha's touched on, but I need to make it more explicit, is how a genre invites a specific audience. Is there anyone here that watched that and thought straight away, this is not my type of music?
Boo.
Interestingly. Right, okay, so why is that straight away? Without thinking about the lyrics too much, just watching the video and the genre conventions that have been used, why would that turn some audiences away?
Dark, shadowed lighting.
Perfect, right, so when I watch that, I see quite rigid genre conventions. It's dark, it's quite dystopian, and that, like Sasha was saying, links in with quite a few of the rock bands, the stereotypical Linkin Park, in my day it was Green Day, things like that. So it seems to be that the rock bands hinge themselves on these rigid genre conventions, and my question is to you, do you think that that alienates a wider audience, or do you think that it's really important that they stick within that rigid convention because they're meeting their own audience expectation?
Personally, I think that it's a bit of both. I think that they're alienating their audience, but I think they want to do
Their
that.
audience, or a wider, so like the ones that put 100% well, it's not really my kind of thing.
The wider audience, but I think that's kind of the idea of it, because it's supposed to be for the people who kind of who understand what it's like to be in that situation, or they can see through and interpret it in a way that actually makes it like an intimate relationship with themselves, because they feel that way that the protagonist does. So I feel like it's meeting its expectations of the audience, of like the niche audience that they enjoy, that enjoy this genre, but for the wider audience who maybe have not gone through such a, I don't know, who don't agree with it, or maybe just don't quite understand where she's coming from.
Okay.
I feel like maybe that's the point. They want it to be expressed like, if you feel this way, we understand. And that's how it approaches audiences.
Do you think, and I'll open this up to everybody, do you think that kind of rigid convention, the darkness, the depression and the rest of it, the instability, the mental instability that seems to come stereotypically with these bands, the rock bands of that nature, do you think it limits creativity? Do you watch that and think, I've seen it all before?
Well, it cuts off some people, well, I don't know, I can speak on myself, but like watching that doesn't make you feel like really happy.
No,
It's
it
music.
doesn't.
It's
That's
supposed
it,
to,
yeah.
in my opinion, it's supposed to make you like really
Yeah.
happy and everything. So if you look at it and you're not interested in it, you're never really going to ever be interested in that sort of genre of music.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. This is perfect because this is the debate. So now you're getting to where I need you to be. So when I'm looking at genre, these are the questions you as a media student needs to ask. How important is genre? Is it important to have those rigid conventions so that the audience has got an expectation and that's met? Or does it limit? So you're already starting to unpick that, and that's what I need you to start debating. So this is perfect. So well done, really good start. Okay, so this is the thing I need you to think about going forward. So this is a good starting point that you start to look at microelements, but the why